Hey guys, Tim from Pop Culture Addicts here, back for another 5 at 5. And I want to start this one by blaming Kathleen. It's her fault. She made me do it. She didn't make me do it, but she kind of did. So Kathleen recently shared her top 5 comfort movies. And I was instantly jealous because I thought, man, that's a really good topic. And, since she was recovering from surgery and all, I mean, it made sense, but I did have the man flu recently, and I thought that was a good reason as any, like she was just recovering from surgery. I had man flu. It's much worse. Anyway, so I thought I would share with you my top 5 comfort movies, the things that I like to watch when I'm just blah, feeling down, or I am oppressed by the wicked, awful man flu. So here we go. Number 5, Empire Records. I love this movie. I think it's fantastic because it doesn't have to be Rex Manning Day to celebrate Rex Manning Day. Damn the man, save the Empire. It's just, you know what? It's a great movie. It's got a fantastic soundtrack. And it's one of those that certain parts of the movie have not aged well, but certain parts of the movie have. And it's one of those that it's timeless. It can be played anytime, anywhere. Definitely. If you haven't watched Empire Records before, stop watching this. Go watch Empire Records. What have you done with your life? Really? But yeah, go check that out. So let's go with number 4, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I know there's a lot of people out there who don't really necessarily care for Michael Cera, but I honestly think he's a great actor. And I think that for the type of roles that he plays, he's fantastic. And he does a really good job in Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I love that it's got some of the throwbacks to the 8-bit video game world. It's got a pretty cool soundtrack to it. Looks in times like a video game. It looks at times like a comic book, and it melds all these worlds together almost seamlessly. And it's a fantastic take on the Scott Pilgrim lore, and it's well cast. It's a great movie. It's enjoyable. It's got funny parts. It's the fourth wall breaks. It's the guest cameos. I mean, yeah, there's so much here. Honestly, we could have a 5 at 5 for me on just the things that I like about Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Check it out. Again, if you haven't watched Scott Pilgrim versus the World, stop watching this. Come back, watch this later. Again, what are you doing with your life? Go watch Scott Pilgrim. Be happy. All right, number 3. Number 3 for me is kind of a special one. It's the movie Fanboys. Now, Fanboys is a movie about a bunch of guys who are all Star Wars fans, and it's leading up to the release of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. They've grown up with the original trilogy. They're so excited about this. They find out that there's a need to go across country, and they want to break into Lucas Ranch, and they want to steal a copy of Phantom Menace and watch it before anybody else can. Now, the cool thing about this movie is that I have nowhere to prove it. I haven't done the research because, Google's expensive and it takes time to, it's not expensive. Google's free and it takes time to just, do it. And I'm lazy. But I think that George Lucas must have signed off on this at some point, some way, some form, because the Star Wars references, I mean, there's a cameo from Billy D. Williams in it. There's a cameo from Carrie Fisher in it. The lines that they use, the sound effects that they use, it's amazing. And the way that they make fun of the Star Trek people is also quite enjoyable because I'm fully in the Star Wars camp and not, I got like a toe in the water of the Star Trek camp, but the Star Trek people make fun of the Star Wars people and the Star Wars people make fun of the Star Trek people. And it's just a really good cast. They pick the right people to do the right things. And you know what? It's just a great movie. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's fantastic. And it really hits on a lot of the cosplay stuff. And again, great movie. Go watch it. Enjoy the laughs. Number two for me is a series of movies, not just a movie, because I couldn't pick just one of them. If I'm going to watch one, I want to watch them all. And that's the Indiana Jones. It used to be trilogy. What do you call it when it's for quadrilogy? That doesn't sound right. Anyway, the 4 Indiana Jones movies. Let's leave it at that. Anyway, so Indiana Jones, even Crystal Skull. I watched, and I'm okay with Crystal Skull right up until like the aliens come at the end, and that's pretty much where I hit the end button, or I'll skip the end of the chapter or fast forward or something. But yeah, it gets a little Close Encounters of the Third Kind for me at that point. It's no longer Indiana Jones. But I love Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is probably my favorite actor of all time. I may have named one of my sons after him, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, but Indiana Jones, I love the movies. There's such feel-good things to them. Frankly, they're just a good time. You know, you can pick them apart. You can find plot holes in this, that, and the other thing, and you can chase them all down. But you know what? For the most part, they're just a good time. They're a fun romp. You know, and if I had to pick one that I was going to say, this one for sure is my favorite one, and this is the one, it would probably be Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade with Sean Connery. Just the way that Harrison and Sean Connery play off each other throughout the movie as the father-son dynamic. For me, that probably would seal it as the best one. All right, number one, The Big Enchilada. Now look, if you're surprised by what I'm about to say, then you probably haven't been following me very much here on Pop Culture Addicts, or very much over on Funny Science Fiction, or paying attention to any of the stuff behind me. It's Star Wars. And it doesn't matter what Star Wars movie, it doesn't matter what Star Wars TV show. Okay, that's not true either. I'm not watching the holiday special, and nobody should. George Lucas doesn't even want you to watch it. Anyway, so anything but the holiday special, and I am in. I love Star Wars. It's my everything in life. Short of my wife, that's going to sound really bad, but honey, you're my everything, and then Star Wars. But Star Wars, it's always been there for me. It's always been, you know, the thing that I would fake being sick at school so I could, you know, it wasn't quite a man flu back then. It was more like the teenage boy flu. But I would fake it just so I could stay home and watch my VHS copies of Star Wars. I would take out New Hope and put in Empire Strikes Back, and, you know, make sure that the New Hope went into the VHS rewinder, because that was a thing, kids. You didn't want to overwork your VCR. And then I'd take out Empire and put in Return of the Jedi and put Empire into the rewinder. But yeah, I would do that over and over again. And as you know, as the years have progressed, and, you know, it's now digital copies of everything, or Blu-ray copies of everything, it's still the same thing. I take out one, put in the next, take out one, put in the next. And now we've added the Clone Wars and Bad Batch and Rebels and Resistance and all these different things, Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and all these new shows that are coming up. It's Star Wars. That's my ultimate in comfort. It's what I'm always going to watch. But there's other things, you know, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and Empire Records, and of course Fanboys, and of course Indiana Jones. All these other things I enjoy to watch. When I've watched so much Star Wars that I start worrying about my own sanity, and I say, you know what, I probably should watch something else. But I'll watch one of those and then come back to Star Wars. So yeah, this is kind of Kathleen's fault, and I'm okay with that. But it was a good recommendation, and I was just jealous that I hadn't thought of doing this one first. So I'm doing it second and blaming her. If you agree, great. I hope you do. If you don't, there's a comment section down below. Make sure that you go in there, you tell me what movies are on your comfort list. What do you like to watch and why? And then, of course, make sure that you also hit that like and subscribe. John's going to put a little thing right there on the screen for you guys. But hitting the subscribe button is a big help to us. It helps us to continue to grow and make this silly, absurd content for you guys to enjoy every Friday at 5. Thanks, guys. Take care. So long from Pop Culture Addicts.